Now, I just want to give you a small video about just adding extra entourage to the simulation. I mean, you can add all kinds of stuff like tower cranes and trucks, and you can schedule the entire delivery process and the stacking outside and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to give you a tip as to how to do it because it's very, very simple. The first thing we need, if we want to, for example, let's just as a starting point insert a tower crane. And we don't want to have to build a tower crane, so we can use, Revit City, or I like to use 3D Warehouse, which is the SketchUp, the SketchUp 3D model resource. You can basically search for anything in here. For example, if I search for truck, we get hundreds and hundreds of different truck types. So you can find a truck type that passes for what you want to do in the animation. Here we have, well, anyway, a lot of it is very American looking, but you can find something that suits you. It doesn't have to be that detailed. It's just there to symbolize the deliveries. But I wanted to show you how to insert this tower crane. So first, I'm just going to download it. It's only a small model. The smaller the better, by the way. You don't want to really go over 3 megabytes for any of these models. So I'm going to download the SketchUp model. And there it is there. You can see I already downloaded it before, but let's go in to Navisworks. And we can use Navisworks to actually clean it up. So you can actually open SketchUp models in, if I go to my downloads, you can open SketchUp models in Navisworks. So we're looking for a SketchUp file. SketchUp, and there it is there. Open it up. So you can see it comes in with all the pieces separated out, so you can play with the element if you want to, but we don't want to. We just want to use what we have. So just use the selection box, select all that stuff there, and I'm just going to hide it. So we're just left with the crane itself. Now the crane itself, you can see if I drill down into the model, it's not very organized. It's just a lot of meshes, and you can see it's not really. Let's have a look in here actually. What have we got? If we go into the selection tree, if I select that, we've got the whole thing. If I plus, we have a few things going on down here, and we have instance. We have no. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. So we have a selection set already set up within here. Now let's just move, or sorry, we're going to add this element to it. So I'm going to use the selection box up here. So make sure you use the selection box. Hold down Control, and then we can select that element too and add it to the selection. I'm going to save that. So I'm going to save the selection, and I'm just going to call it Boom. Let's call it Crane Boom. Oops. Crane Boom. So that means we can select the boom anytime we want, which is what we want to do because we want to be able to rotate it. You can see that here is the rotation element of the crane. So we wanted to animate the rotation within our model. So let's just save that. So save as. I put it back into my teaching folder. Just teach my semester. And we can use it, let's call it an LOD file, and we'll call it tower crane. There we go. Now we can open up our LOD 300 model. And this has still all the timeline or activity and everything in it already, so we can just continue to add elements to this simulation. So I'm just going to append the NWD that we have just made in the BIM folder. There it is. Bring it in. And you can see it just pops in to the model where we want it to be. So we can use the selection tree, select the tower crane, and very quickly, using the item tools, move, using these gizmos, the crane to wherever we want it to be. So let's just move it over here, and let's say according to our, oops, I deselected it there. Let's say according to our site plan, we want to place it here, because we've calculated that the radius of this particular tower crane is going to swing across here. So there's enough reach on this crane to build the entire building. If we place it in this area here, we don't need to move it again. We can move it up and down. It tends to come in at level 0, so I think it's going to be okay, but if we want to, we can move it up and down to get it to the right level. So there we go. So now we've got the crane in there. We want to, as part of our time plan simulation, we want to get the boom to rotate. So we can come into the animator tool here. If you don't have it switched on, you press here. And now you can see that I've got the timeliner and the animator together at the bottom here. So I'm just going to set up a new scene. So add a scene. And in order to animate anything in a scene, I need to select what I want to animate first of all. And I want to animate the crane boom. So let's select that. You can see that the selection set came into our sets over here. Now I can right click on the scene and add an animation set. So there we go. I'm just going to call it crane rotate. And I'm going to activate it. There's 3 buttons up here. The first button is called translate animation set, but it just means move animation set. This one is a rotate one, and this one is for scaling it. We're not going to scale anything. We just want to rotate the boom. So let's go into the top view again. I'm moving the rotation center to the center of the crane. And we don't have to be totally accurate about this. We just want to give the impression that the crane is rotating more or less the way it should be. So I could probably say that that is centered from all points of view, at least enough to allow us to make a rotation. So then I wanted to rotate across. So the way to make it rotate is we show the first position, which is where it is now. We give that a keyframe. So I'm going to capture that keyframe. And you can see this little diamond pops up here. Now I want it to take 4 seconds to travel across the entire building. So I change that to 0.4, press enter. And it pops the time across 4 seconds. Now I can use the blue rotation one, because we want to rotate horizontally, to rotate the crane around, or at least the boom around, as far as we want it to go. Once we're happy with the position, I'm going to create another keyframe. So now we've created a basic animation. If I move this back over here, you can see the crane moves along with the movement. If I press play, we have an animation. Now, what we want to do now is we want it to ping pong. So this PP stands for ping pong. If I press ping pong and press play, it's going to rotate back again. Let's just take it away so we get the right colors in there. So if we play the whole thing from the beginning, we've got this picking up over here, delivering, dropping it off, coming back again, ready to go. And then the final thing we can do is we can just infinitely loop the whole thing like this. And if we do that, I'm going to deselect it again. We have a constantly running animation in our simulation. So there we go. Now I'm going to go back to the timeliner for a minute. You can see the animation just keeps running. If I though run the simulation now, there's no sign of the crane at all, because we haven't told Navisworks that we want the crane to be set up on the site or given it a time to set it up. So you can do 2 things here. If you want to be very basic about it and just test it out, what we can do, I'll just stop that simulation there and go back to the task, is that you can either just add a task which will build the crane for you at the right time, Or you can go and very detailed with your construction site plan. You can schedule the site, the initial site preparation, excavation, and so forth, as well as the delivery arrivals, the positioning of the site huts, and all that kind of stuff as well. But let's just, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to come in here and press Add Task, and I'm going to we can't rename that here. How do we rename it? There we go. So I'm going to just call this crane. I'm not going to be too creative about it. And I want this crane to be constructed. And I want it to be constructed. The first structure starts at 6th of the 3rd. So I'm going to say it's going to be constructed on the 3rd of the 3rd. Okay, so the crane has been built on the 3rd. It takes 1 day to put it up, but we want to take it down. So I'm going to, we want to take it down when the structure is finished, because we don't need the crane for, let's assume we don't need the crane for anything after the structure. So just to display how you do that, so add another task. I'm going to call this one crane disassembly. And that's going to be taken down after the structure. So let's say it's on the 9th. That's going to take it down on the 9th. And it's going to take them maybe 2 days to take it down, let's say. And this one I'm going to change to demolish. So now we just have to attach it again. So I'm going to select the tower crane, the whole thing. And I'm going to attach the current selection to the crane disassembly. So hopefully now, when I run the simulation here, it first assembles the crane assembles the structure, then the crane is taken down again, and you can use that part of the site for whatever else you need. So that allows you to, in a detailed way, simulate the planning of your construction site.